Hey everyone, welcome back to Xploit. So what we will be doing today is that we will be building up the tree farm, which you can see right behind me. This is not the actual tree farm itself, this is just a structure, which is just a ghost model to show us what to build where. So yeah, that's going to be the design. Maybe not block by block because we're not going to use quartz, we're going to use deep slate. But the farm itself behind there, this is what we're going to build. We spent some days gathering all the resources and they're all in here. I got the 3 wither skulls earlier and that should be pretty good because we do need a source of wood. And this one right here is the UUTF. It's the Ultimate Universal Tree Farm by Tartar and Kairyu. So I think that will be a pretty good fit and it will allow us to get all sorts of wood. Oh, I just fell off. Thank God that I got the rockets. Oh lord. Although we're technically missing one thing, and that would be that we need... Oh jeez, looks like Lee fell down as well. Don't tell me he died. I think he's alright. We are missing a turtle egg, technically. Or multiple. I don't know how turtle eggs work exactly. Okay, Lee is fine, thank God. For specific item alignment. But I believe we can use just stairs and then make the items reverse by making them bounce back. As far as I'm aware, that should be able to work, but I'm not quite sure, so we will see. At least that's what Kairyu said, that we should be able to use stairs to bounce the items back. I believe that is a trick by Tartar also. So yeah, let's get to building it. So I was just at the iron farm area because we're planning to build a new iron farm and old guy is designing one. It will be quite cool. But anyway, I want to go back to the end dimension because I want to catch up on the progress there. So just like you saw in the time lapse, we finished the tree farm over here and there were some slight issues, but Lee fixed them promptly. So we can head in there real quick and see it working. As you can see, it has different modes. It is a universal tree farm, which means it works with every tree except dark oak, but that doesn't count. And yeah, just grab a sapling. Let's do spruce because I like spruce. All the other modes are off. Okay, that's good. Then we just hold. And all of the trees get transported out. We can actually just look up and watch it happen. Let me turn down my in-game volume so you can actually hear me. So let's do it again. Very satisfying to watch. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And of course all of the wood lands up in this wither cage right here, where it all gets broken by this wither. Let me see if I can get in there. I don't know why the structura had a hole in there, but it's actually kind of convenient. So yeah, it all gets pushed there, and then the snow golem creates snow, and that gets shot by the dispenser, which then in turn produces all of the wood by having the wither break it. But what we also did is continue some work on the wool farm. There's still a bit of redstone missing, but we started the decoration. And by that I mean Jin started the decoration. I'm not good at decoration. Can take the piston bolt here. He also put like a spiral around it, which is pretty cool. I love this piston bolt, by the way. And yeah, this looks very nice indeed. We have the selector panel, input for the shears, and yeah, that is also cool. I'll show you what that does in a second. Actually, I have a clip of us trying the farm, so let's watch that. Jin and I decided to build something else, which is a little sheep face up here, and its eyes are redstone lamps, which is kind of cool. The basic idea is that it's an indicator for whether there are shears or not in the system, so that we can tell when the farm is done. So if I put in 2 shears here, we just want to farm some wool. As you can see, the lights should turn off. Or not. Oh, there we go. Yeah, they went off. I got nervous for a second. And that should mean that it's ready. So let's just go back. Take the...
Gotta go first.
Yeah, take the super epic piston bolt. And if you're thinking that the lights will just go back on, you're dead wrong, because that's way too boring. So let's just turn it on for a second. And we have to wait about 100 seconds, which is, yeah, longer than I'm going to record in one go. So we'll just skip to when the lights go back on. Oh, there. Yeah, so it finished now, and the eyes are blinking, so that's really cool. Now should be on. That means we can turn off the farm. Should have stopped blinking. Yeah, stopped blinking. So now we can go over and visit it. I still haven't quite finished the system to automatically push out the drops, which is done by dispensing water onto the space where the sheep are standing. But once that is done, we will have that, and it will be fed into a storage system. So let's just try that real quick. Take a look at the gray sheep. Yeah, there's a bunch of stacks of wool there. And it's sheared.
Got it.
Yeah, that's good. So just do that. Just need to pulse it twice. And all the stacks come out. It should be the same as my sheep farm, so it's about 7.5 stacks per 1 shear, I think. Having built the tree farm though, we now wanted to work on some other things. Notably, we want to finish the basalt farm, because we want a solid source of building blocks, and I have actually finished that. It has been quite a mess, to be honest, to work with, so we can check that out. I present the basalt farm. It is quite big, but however, it does produce around 345k per hour. It could be higher, I know. It could be much higher indeed, but I've been working on this for so long, and honestly I don't feel like changing up the whole design, and this will serve us pretty well. However, there is a slight issue, and it is not a issue of my design, but rather a bug. You might have noticed the name that I put on the wither, and yeah, the problem of this farm is that moving blocks will leak memory over time. That means RAM. So yeah, when you use it for prolonged periods of time, it will hog up all the memory and eventually it will crash. For me, it crashed my game after about 45 minutes, and no, it isn't because there's too many items or something. It is because all of the moving blocks cause memory to just be used, but it doesn't actually get cleared and it doesn't do anything, so it just wastes memory, which is kind of sad. And this is not a new bug, this has been in the game for a while. In fact, a fellow tech player named Alan Shizar had an ice farm. Oh, well, he does have an ice farm, I mean, and that one does leak a lot of memory. So if I recall correctly, it's over 5 gigabytes of memory leaked per hour of using the farm, which is quite a lot. And how much I have measured for this farm is a little over 2 gigabytes per hour. I think a little over 2.5 gigabytes per hour. It does move a lot of blocks, and that causes a lot of memory leak, but still probably less than Alan's ice farm in total. But it will fairly quickly leak a lot of memory, sadly. Alright, enough talk now, let's watch it in action. So if I turn this on, it will take some time to boot up because the pulse extender is still going off. And how this farm works is that it pauses every 4 minutes exactly to get out all of the drops that will be stuck on this block right here, where the wither is standing, and inside of here, there's also a bunch of blocks. This farm has a total of 61 break spots, and since you can hurt mobs every 10 game ticks, which is every half second, it is ideal to match the pushing of the basalt to that rate. So you will get 122 blocks of basalt broken every second, or every 20 game ticks. However, due to the design of the cage, which is a problem for most conventional cage designs, there will be a lot of loss. In fact, there will be around 20% loss. And if we calculate the amount of basalt we should normally get, so that's 122 per second times 3,600, which is the amount of seconds in an hour, then we would have 439,200 basalt per hour. Sadly, that cannot be reached because of the loss that I described before. The loss accounts for around 20% of the entire drops, so that brings it down quite a bit to about 350,000, I believe. But since we are pausing this farm for every 4 minutes, I can show you by the way how that works. This one does exactly 1 minute, and it will change this one every minute, and when 4 minutes pass, means 4 items, then it will change and it will detect that and it will pause the farm. As I was saying, since it pauses the farm for 7.3 seconds every 4 minutes, it will lose a little bit more, so the rates go down from about 350k to 345k. Again, I know you can go faster, but you know what? I don't care. And you might be interested to know how we get the basalt off that is stuck on that bedrock block. It is quite simple. Let me turn off the farm manually. And when it stops, as you can see, this will get pushed forward by 1 block. And then another block, it pushes it down. And almost instantly it also gets broken, so that the wither has no chance of glitching out and escaping. As for all the other drops that are stuck up here, they will all be flushed out by one single water source once the farm pauses. I believe this one should be a stair. No, then it must be behind this one. Yeah, there's a stair. That stair is waterlocked, so when we stop the farm, let me stop it and go around here real quick. As you can see, all of the water will go to here. And then yeah, all of the drops fall out, and it looks like a little snake because there's so many drops. It will be more than a full inventory of basalt. The amount of basalt right now is just from having the farm completely stopped and then started again for like a few seconds, so it will be much more. And of course the reason we stop the farm every 4 minutes and not longer is because the items would despawn after 5 minutes, so I want to give it some time to circle around here and get picked up by the hoppers. We'll get to the storage in a moment, but let's take a look at the basalt generators. So you might know that there's this mechanic called lava ticking, It's fairly simple. You have observers pulsing next to lava and it will make the lava flow faster. However, that is still not fast enough to keep up 100% with the rate at which the wither breaks the blocks. So what we do is that we have 2 basalt generators per 1 break spot. So as you can see, for this one right here, there's 1 basalt generator up here, or rather 3, and then 3 at the bottom as well. And they alternate between pushing into this block right here. But this piston will in fact push every 10 game ticks, and the bottom and top one will push every 20 game ticks at a delay of 10 game ticks between each. This applies for every single one of the 61 break spots in this farm. There will be 2 basalt generators for each and they all alternate. As for the storage, as you can see, all of the drops will land down here and they will all get looped around. We have 7 shulker loaders right here. Each of the shulker loaders can handle ×6 hopper speed, and that is enough for over 350,000 per hour. I'm not sure what the exact number is, maybe it was 370,000 something, but it will handle the 345,000, whereas only 6 ×6 speed shulker loaders will not handle the output. But anyway, the shulker loader will do exactly what it sounds like. It takes a shulker, it fills it up, and then when it's full, it breaks it and drops it over in a collection area, and it will fill up the next shulker box. So yeah, that is more or less the entire farm. Even though the memory leak issue is a thing and it is quite annoying, it will provide us with more than enough basalt than we need, and it also looks very cool while doing so. So yeah, that will be pretty useful. Onto another project though, here is a moss farm that I designed. And this moss farm is like most other moss farms. It doesn't actually mainly farm moss, it farms bone meal. And the reason for that is that moss farms are mostly self-sufficient, meaning that they produce more bone meal than what they actually use. This moss farm design right here is what we will be building on Xploit. And it is quite cool because, as I said, it's self-sufficient. And it produces around 870 bone meal per hour, and that is profit per layer. So that means when we have all of these 16 layers, we will get about 13,900 bone meal per hour in profit. Let's turn it on to see it in action. And if we go all the way up here, we can watch what happens. So there's a moss block in the middle, and there are stone generators around it. What happens to the moss block is that it gets bone mealed from underneath, and that will convert some of the stone around it into moss. One interesting property of moss blocks is that they can actually be broken just by being pushed into. So by just pushing in stone into the moss blocks, they will actually break and get dropped. And then we can collect them by just spreading water over it, and we just repeat this. Now I do want to credit a similar looking layout by Pixel, which I found on the Technical Bedrock archive. Although I was not initially inspired by it, I borrowed some concepts from it, for example this way to distribute the bone meal. But yeah, that's about it. And the way we can have it be so fast is by adding more stone generators. So instead of pulsing this one twice to get the middle ones out of the way, we just add 2 more stone generators on each side. But because it is so cramped, it is harder to make a proper collection. So what we do in this case is that we have a sticky piston which pulls away the stone, which is the same stone that gets pushed forward, but it only pulls it away when it is not being pushed so that nothing breaks. And then as you can see, all of the items fall down there. When we look all the way down here, you will see that all of the moss gets dropped into these water streams. The moss comes out of these 2 holes, which is one on each diagonal side from the sticky piston that I just showed you, and it just goes in this water stream where it will be pushed against those hoppers, which feeds all of it into the composters, and then all of the bone meal gets fed back into the system so that it is self-sustaining. All of the extra bone meal that comes out from here is excess bone meal that has not been used to refuel the farm, and therefore is profit. So if you just stand here for an hour, you will get 13,900 bone meal. By the way, this moss refueling and composting station is only temporary. This one is just a placeholder so I could test what the profit rates are for this farm. What we actually plan to do is for this to be a multi-farm. Notably, it will farm multiple things, and the idea is that we either have it what it's doing right now, that it will give out bone meal as profit, or that it will farm moss. And by that I mean that it will still maintain self-sustaining operation, but that we can choose for it to output the moss drops that are extra. But we're not done yet. Oh no, we're not done yet. So an idea Kai had is that we can also choose to hook all of that bone meal up to microfarms. So under this entire farm we could have a whole selector panel and choose other things that we could farm from the profit bone meal that we get. For example, we could hook it up to a bone meal sugarcane farm, bone meal bamboo farm, kelp, whatever it is you can farm with bone meal, you get the idea. We could all do that. As long as the aforementioned farms don't use more bone meal than is being profited here. So that would be 13,900. But for some small micro farms, and if you want a short supply of crops, that will be a pretty solid solution, and it will basically be a one location hub for many plants. The clear downside of this farm though is that it is rather expensive. There's a lot of observers, there's a lot of comparators. You could reduce that, but again, I don't care. I'm honestly too lazy to bother with that right now, especially since this took a lot of work. But another advantage is that this type of moss farm is rather lag friendly. It looks like it would not be very lag friendly being this massive, but it is actually comparatively lag friendly compared to other moss farms. And by other moss farms, of course I don't mean every other moss farm out there is bad. I'm just saying that this is one particular advantage that we appreciate about this farm in particular. So yeah, that is a lot of the work that I've been putting in the past days, and that should supply us with lots of resources to keep us going for more projects. Of course, we want to eventually build the humongous, absolutely massive storage system. This is an encoded storage system, by the way. It's a bit complicated to explain, so I'm going to leave a link to Obi's video about it in the description. Obi is one of our members, and it basically shows what happens. Maybe not in the most comprehensible format, but that's because this system is very complicated, and yeah, it is kind of hard to explain as well. But since it is a storage system, what it will require tons of is hoppers. So that's a lot of, iron. So we gotta build an iron farm. It will require a lot of redstone. So where we'll get that, I have no idea. And chests, that means a lot of wood. We just built the tree farm. But the tree farm needs bone meal, of course, to work. So that's what we're building the moss farm for. So yeah, these are some of the projects that we are planning to undertake in the near future. Maybe not so near future for the encoded storage, because it will take a while, and I imagine when we build it, it will also be quite painful to sort out any issues that might be present, but you get the general idea. Back on the server though, one thing we want to expand upon as well is this Simtic hub right here. Right now we only have the wool farm, but we also want to build a falling block duper. Since they patched the end portal based ones, I really don't understand why, because they completely left it inside the Java edition, but they just patched it in Bedrock. For what reason, I do not know. Actually, I'm going to rant a tiny bit. Why would they remove the falling block duping on Bedrock edition but leave it in the Java edition? It doesn't make any sense, especially considering that Java edition has TNT block duping, whereas Bedrock edition really does not, so we have to manually craft all of our TNT, and that requires tons of sand, and there's no other currently renewable sand source in the game. So yeah, great move, Mojang. Anyway, what I was really trying to say is that there are other falling block dupers that still work in the current version, but they work on being outside of the simulation range, and then you would have to log off or go into a portal. I'm not quite sure how that works. Somehow unload those chunks. Just stepping outside of the simulation area does not work. And then once you log back in or go back to the portal, again, I don't know, you would get all of the drops. So that is the idea. However, I'm not quite sure how that works yet, so I'll have to look into that further. But if we would build it, we would build it below, because Jinzuoo has already worked on that decoration design, and he was unaware of how much space the sand farm would need, so we're just going to build it under. And it does look quite cool. I didn't even know that there was a door there. Nice. Okay, not gonna lie, it actually does look quite cool in here, so that is some pretty good work if I do say so myself. Also, what I really appreciate about this design is that it's kind of see-through. There's some glass there, and you can kind of see some of the interior and some of the redstone, so I find that pretty cool. Either way, that's about it for this exploit episode. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I think we got quite a lot done, and I'm excited for the things to come, and I hope you are too. That being said, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to subscribe, because I do have a lot of similar content on my channel, and I believe you would appreciate it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you around. Bye!